Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I am swatching Here I Flow Again by Femme Fatale. This is another thermal and an older polish. This one is a black to swamp green with large, medium, and small lime green glitter. I think the glitter might be satin and not matte. It also has a flake that's mainly a contrasting red. This polish is from 2021, so it is a 3-year-old thermal. I still have about half a bottle. The black state is a little less firmly black this year. It looks more like a deep brown now. I'll have to accelerate how much I use this polish so that I can start to use up the remainder. And I'm just going to say, I think Femme Fatale makes great thermals. The maker goes out of their way to try to create unusual combinations, and I really appreciate the gonzo attitude. I'm a big fan of a crazy change in a thermal. I need to mention that I have thinned this polish as well. Thinning it makes it easier to get the polish onto my brush now that the fill line is getting lower. I did have to redip my brush because I didn't quite get enough polish the first time. I personally wouldn't wear a thermal without full coverage. My first reason being that most often they are crellies or creams, and I just don't like the look of those in one coat. Second, they often have different opacities in their different color states. Because of that, I like to make sure they are opaque in both colors if I can. In the first coat, I mostly got the tiny glitter and the flakes. And I must have been a little bit cold because you are mostly seeing that darker cold state. I originally started wearing this polish with Winter Fire on my other hand because in their cold states, they actually used to look quite dark together and almost as if I wasn't wearing two different polishes. And I loved the reveal of the warm state where they were so drastically different, one being a cherry red and the other being that pickly green. For the second coat, you can see once again I didn't get enough polish on my brush, so I am redipping. I did get some of the larger glitter. To be very blunt, this is a hard polish to remove. Those glitter are chunky and they grip the nail like nobody's business. And you can definitely still see through the polish in two, so I do go in for a third coat. Even though this is a thermal with two different color states, I often think of this as a green polish. So that when I think about this polish, I think of Slimer from the Ghostbusters, maybe a splendid witchy toad, and their bumpily, warty skin is represented by the glitter. I just wondered to myself why there wasn't more toad nail polish, and then I realized no one wants that but me. Should I be disappointed in myself for wanting toad polish? No. That seems entirely reasonable to me. I know you haven't seen the warm state yet because I am frozen, but this is very much a frog and toad polish. If this isn't, I don't know what is. I've had to do a little bit of sleight of hand in this video. My light went out during my third coat, and I had to redo that coat. So you are technically seeing a fourth coat of polish. I tried to paint that third coat as thin as possible so that the fourth wouldn't seem so completely unnecessary. I did also think about leaving in the footage, but it was ugly. So sorry about that, technical difficulties. I did only need 3 coats. This is a very textured polish, and it absolutely requires some sort of glitter smoothing activity, whether that is a glitter smoother before your top coat or just 2 coats of top coat. My glitter smoother is the Glisten and Glow Glitter Grabber. For the full hand shots, I once again have my cups of cold and hot water nearby. Again, my hands may look wet at times because I have to dry them as fast as possible to keep the polish from transitioning away from the desired state. Although I will stick in a reminder here, you don't normally need water to make thermals transition. I need them to make them transition on command. Normally they just change color with the changes in temperature to your fingers. And here we are in the warm state. I think my fingers look like tiny gherkins. I love it so much. The glitter are like the little pickle bumps. I cannot express how happy pickle fingers make me, almost irrationally so. The little flakes are showing mostly as orange here. I don't think they quite make it to red. There's a little bit of gold mixed in, but it's bullied out of the way by that orange. In the cold state, you can see how it looks a bit more brown than its original black, but the transition is pretty stark. The green glitter really leap out of the background, and the little flakes look more red to orange. I feel like I see little pops of gold, but not very much. I think perhaps the flakes are even making it into the realm of green here and there. The warm state in the shade was awful to film for some reason. My fingers kept trying to transition back to a colder state. But hopefully you can see that green is a little bit bright, a bit of a Kermit the Frog color before it changes back. I think you can see it start to transition on my pinky. Why is she always the problem child of my fingers? I have no idea. The flakes are primarily orange in the shade. I think I see just a little green at the extremes. The cold state in the shade is again that very dark brown, but I think it looks just a little more black here. The green glitter are still hanging out, looking fun and grungy. The iridescent flakes move from red to orange to green in the shade. This is where I think you see the green shift in those the best. And I'm not really seeing any gold here. Unsurprisingly, I also think this is a good Frankenstein's monster polish. It can be his skin and his tattered clothing. And we've made it indoors. The warm state looks a little more swampy than before, slightly more Shrekish. The iridescent flakes are back to being orange to gold, but with the addition of green. I think inside you can see it is a perfect representation of a jar of olives. Or I'm very hungry. You know what? It's both. The cold state does its best impression of a black indoors. Those green glitter are still fun, but now they remind me of lily pads floating on a pond in the evening when the water looks very dark. The iridescent flake is running the full gamut of red to orange to gold to green. And that is all for today. Thank you for watching. I do wonder to myself, what is wrong with anyone watching this content? Perhaps we're all just crazy in the same way. Please enjoy a clip of a very young squirrel deciding to ignore me in the rain.